Where am I finding you today? I just your background is beautiful. Is that your office or home?
Thank you. This is my kitchen slash photo studio slash fulfillment everything area. And I also cook in here as well. So
Wow.
I am sitting in my dining room over there.
And
Yeah,
if my memory serves me right, you are in the beautiful Pacific Northwest.
I am. I am in Seattle, Washington.
Uh, you've worked with some of the most recognizable brands in the world. And when people
Mm.
hear that, they probably assume confidence came easily in all those things. So did it?
No, never. It's interesting. I've always been a creative and as a person I'm a little bit I wouldn't say I'm an introvert, but I really liked my work speaking for me versus me speaking for me. So, I think at times I was super confident. I loved being confident in the work, but I wasn't always confident in myself. So that was a constant struggle to say, okay, you can do this. You have the tools and you can present yourself in the way you want to be presented.
Well, we were just talking before we started the show a little bit about being humankind. And so that's really where this question is coming from. So what moments or what projects or what things made you to start to believe?
Uh, I would say I've always believed in the work. So to me, like I was very much about the creative challenge, the creative process, coming up with the right solution, like that's what like really always excited me, knowing that there was always an amazing solution within any creative problem. So I think for me being thrown into like big companies like a Starbucks where you have a huge team, you have a huge marketing team, there's a lot of visibility, you have to show up and build your brand is kind of what we called it internally. Is it's about doing the work and building your brand, and I always enjoy doing the work more than building my Dena brand.
I get it.
So I just pushed myself into it. I had an epic failure presenting once at Starbucks. It was awful.
Are we going to share that or no? Can you do it?
Absolutely,
Can
I can.
can you do it in code? So
It was right after I'd started, and I was presenting in the studio to just studio people, but that's like 200 people,
wow.
and I totally panicked and froze, and, my creative director stepped on to where I was presenting and took over for me. So after that, pushed myself to say yes to presenting, to say yes to presenting because I never wanted that to happen again.
Was it in your gut?
About
Just like when you get up there and you're froze, did you feel it in your gut? Did you panic? Did you sweat? Like
I
I've had
did,
those
and,
moments.
what I realized in retrospect is that I was in perimenopause and everything was going sideways. So I didn't really understand what was going on. I just didn't feel like myself. I wasn't sleeping. I had anxiety where I'd really never had anxiety before. So it was kind of like this perfect storm of everything that could go wrong, in control and out of control. And so that's that was a point of like, I need to figure out what's going on with my body. And then I also need to confront this and do this more so I build the confidence and I can excel at it.
Yeah.
Because parts of it I do love. Parts of it, parts of being up on stage is talking about the creative process or highlighting the work that you're so proud of. So to be able to do that as a creative leader is pretty important.
That's great. My wife and I have a podcast called Running Errands, and we actually were talking about the fact that I never even knew the impact that menopause and, pre, during, and after, the
Yeah.
impact it has. We don't talk about that enough. Not that we have to talk about it on today's show, but I just want to say thank you for sharing that because as my wife is experiencing it now, it's, obviously my mom, my grandma went through it, but we never talked about that.
I know. Yeah,
Thank you for that.
absolutely.
All right. You spent over a decade at Starbucks. So, if you can, in one sentence or ish, what did that season teach you?
Hmm. It taught me the importance of team and appreciating the work
Hmm.
and how important collaboration is and really elevating brands and storytelling.
I think when this is a little bit of an assumption, but I think from the consumer standpoint, they probably think about if they think about Starbucks design, they'll notice it with like with the red cups or the packaging and that
Mhm.
sort of thing. And I don't think they probably think about the consistency or the emotion or the massive team behind it. Does that
Yes.
feel true?
Yeah, I think so, and I think, there's in my opinion, there's been a shift. I feel like I was really there at the tail end of the glory days of Starbucks Creative Studio, and I don't mean that I'm not saying that they're not doing good work now, but I was there when Howard Schultz was there, and he was such an advocate of creativity and expression, and I think at times in the stores, we showed up a little, disjointed, but it was always founded in creativity and storytelling, and I loved that about it. And I think now the brand is really more about consistency, which can be a good thing and a bad thing for storytelling and for engaging the consumer.
Hmm. I was just thinking as you're talking about that, I was thinking about some of my favorite packaging, and I'm just interested, like from a research standpoint. I read the packaging, the story on the back. I
Yeah.
always assumed that was authentic and true. So, do you have people in the field doing that research, making sure all of that is real?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
It sounds like a
Yeah,
good gig.
very much
I'd like
grounded
that
in it.
gig. Send me all over the world so I can meet people and write about it.
Exactly.
So from Starbucks, you went to Hydro Flask.
I did, and I was at Hydro Flask for 5 years.
So what was that shift like? I mean, they feel like two completely different brands.
They were, yeah, and they are, and it was a really interesting shift going from a really huge corporation and a huge team to a smaller brand and a smaller team. I think, Starbucks was all about, like, the perfect cup of coffee and how that can make your day, and Hydro Flask is really about, you know, we're your hydration sidekick, we'll go everywhere with you. So they're both grounded in consumption, I
Yeah.
guess, and coffee, water. But yeah,
Hmm.
it was a really big, shift.
I didn't even put that parallel together. That's interesting. So working at that scale, did it ever because I think the perception is you work at the scale and you have all these resources and kind of sky's the limit, but did it ever feel limiting as a creative leader?
At Starbucks, not as much. It's one of the teams I have is international marketing, and so we're creating promotions every 6 weeks to go into stores around the world, and then we're also segmenting for different markets.
That's fun.
Yeah, so it was like you're always on the hamster wheel, like, you're concepting, you're shooting photography, you're, you're putting everything on file cabinet, so it's like this it's always on, and I actually really love that. I think in any creative environment, you always want more time. There's always that time where it's like pencils down and we have to move into production and this is where we are and this is where we're stopping. So I think always more time and always bigger budgets. You always
Yeah.
dream big and then you kind of come down to what you're capable of
Well,
doing.
if I may, let me push you on that a little bit because that is of course something we all I I believe think. And I don't know if there's ever enough time or never enough budget if you really ask us, depending on what state of mind we're in. I don't know about you, but I think I've done my best work when it's under pressure. Not that I want everything to be a
Mhm.
pressure cooker. I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
Um, and the reason I say that is I did this level C brand strategy work with Marty Neumeyer's brand organization. And we did this crazy team project that would typically take weeks and weeks. We did it in a day and a half. And I think the
Wow.
exercise was to show if you collaborate as a team, right, and you have a vision, you can do amazing things. And again, I wouldn't want to create brands in a day and a half. So does that feel true for you as well? Is it more of you
Yeah.
kept doing that over and over again? It was just so challenging.
I mean, I think that there's times where, any company has strategy shifts, things like that. So, there are plenty of times where we would be far along on a campaign and a strategy and it would shift. And within that, your launch time's the same. So if you're shifting strategy here and you started here, now you only have this much time. So I think there are times where that can lead to better work and almost more authentic work because you have less time to really second guess it and we would call it noodling it to death. Like we can't noodle it to death.
Oh man, I can totally relate to that. So Hydro Flask.
Yes.
After that role, right? Did you walk away from that role?
I did. I resigned. I loved my team. I loved Bend, but I'm a Seattle girl and I missed my house and I missed my friends here. So it came to a time that I'm like, okay, I have to make a decision here. So um I was there for just over 5 years. I resigned. I offered to stay on board until they backfilled my role. So I ended up working 6 months longer than I was intending on working, but I'm so happy I did that. I love them all and I miss them and they know that. But I am so happy to be back home.
So that is incredibly well brave, but also gracious of you to finish well. I think that's
Yeah, I would say it was brave too, because I think one of the things as you're a creative and you're aging in the industry, when I resigned from that corporate role, I knew I'm like, this is my last corporate role I will have.
hmm.
And not only because I have participated in that and I feel like I don't want that again, but even if I did want that again, I think it'd be really challenging to find a role that would be what I wanted and they would want me. Talking about ageism.
Yeah, no, but I mean, that is my point is
We're
that
being creative,
no,
yes.
I think, again, that was even before the AI had taken such a grip, on our
Yes.
on our market and our world as it is now. So for you, was it really just about burnout, doing the same thing and wanting to do something else?
It was really about kind of figuring out what I wanted the next thing to be and knowing that I wanted to do it from Seattle, from my home. Also wanting time off, like I've worked my entire life. So really having that time to take off and really having some clarity about what is next and what do I want.
Yeah.
So, you need space to be able to kind of open up and look out and see what's out there and what excites you.
Oh man. When did this new idea start to form? Or, how long from you leaving Hydro Flask to where we're at right now? How long has that transition been?
I took 3 months off and then started ideating and doodling and thinking about what I wanted to do. I'm a creative person, I'm a project person. So after refinishing furniture and repainting walls, I knew I needed to do something that would give me that creative outlet, that would excite me, that would allow me to work from home. And so I started playing around with some ideas of what to do. And I started thinking about my family and growing up. And growing up, my mom had an orange scarf that said, I'll say it this one time, it said fuck on it. And she
I
would
mean, you
tie it
can you
up.
can say it. You can say it more than once. It's fine.
I'm just gonna say it once. She would tie it up and it looked like she was wearing this beautiful orange scarf. And through the years, I've been getting these packages from all of my mom's friends of memorabilia and things they gifted back and forth. And so that's really what inspired me to start this brand called Frank, was taking their curiosity and playfulness and creating products that really brought that energy out to the world.
So I love the formation and the backstory of that, but why this idea and why now?
I think that thinking about I loved about that orange bandana was the discovery
Hmm.
of it, where you didn't know what it was and then you could be exposed to that. I started thinking about the storytelling around different topics. So we talked about menopause earlier. I will talk about it again now. The story's out there. You know, 5 years ago, the story wasn't. There is such a rich story about menopause that
Hmm.
has humor in it. It's relatable. It's funny and it's educational. So one of the first ones I started sketching out was of menopause and all the things that go along with that, from hot flashes to insomnia to feeling like you're losing your mind. Woman that I talked to had a story around that. And I'm like,
Oh my.
what? Why don't I create some storytelling? I saw this white space in the bandana and scarf industry of using bandanas and scarves, one for storytelling beyond beyond a statement, but real true storytelling. And then also humor. And I think right now, words are kind of all we have in some ways. And humor is so important. And, it was really exciting. I think I told you I had a pop-up sale in Seattle before the holidays. And it was exactly what I wanted to happen because people would see these stories and, they're designed so you have to kinda turn them around to see everything, and just the relatability and people coming back and saying, "Hey, I love this, but you forgot this," you know?
Oh, that's so great.
What about Yeah, so that's kind of what drove the creation of Frank, and I looked at ways of doing it without the F word, and it just wasn't true to really the pinnacle of the brand and what I wanted the brand to be, and it's about being open, honest, direct, and that's about as direct as you can get.
Well, and again, being frank, right? Like,
Exactly.
I love that, and the fact that it's also an F.
Yes, exactly.
I love that.
Out to own the F word since 2025. That's what I say.
So, uh, it's really interesting because, as we're talking about Starbucks, you had this experience, understanding products and understanding cultures and understanding,
Mhm.
emotional ties. I mean, people are very emotional about their coffee, and their
Yes.
routines. And so this feels like a natural, sort of, you know, uh, growth is not the right word, but natural energy coming out of you as far as using your
Yeah.
design skills and storytelling. And so, how do you feel when you start working on an idea, or how did you feel when you started thinking about the brand and putting together your first couple products?
It was exciting and fun. I haven't made anything for myself really and tried to put something out in the world that wasn't tied to a brand or a role. It was a blast. And, when you start anything like that, your brain goes, what about this? What about that? What about that? I had sketches all over the place from being really illustrative forward to being super, super graphic. And I think I landed somewhere in the middle, but my son was coaching me through this, and he was the one, "Pencils down, mom, pencils down,"
Oh, that's
because
great.
I kept on going, "What about this? What about this? I could try this," and he's like, "Pencils down, get it produced, learn, go from there."
Wow, that's some good wisdom there that's been passed
I
down
know.
and then boomeranged back at you.
Exactly.
So, share with me. You shared originally the foundational impetus behind your mom's scarf. So, have you started thinking about how this brand grows onto other types of products?
Yeah, absolutely. I just got a new shipment of product in. I'm wearing one of them.
Oh,
This
that's
is
awesome.
this says F old age on it, and it is a Frank Hank, so it's a handkerchief. Also looks fabulous as a pocket square. So this is one of my new products, but I'm doing this all myself. So it's very interesting. I very much miss a team. I've always appreciated a team and having that collaboration and doing it all myself. So I've told myself I'm going to stop making product. I have two other ideas, well, more than that, about six in my head. I'm like, I'm going to stop here and see what people react to before I go on to the next thing
That's great. And when you say other ideas, you talk within the Frank brand?
within the Frank brand. Yeah. I'm going to focus on Frank.
That's great.
Yes.
So, what are some things that you feel corporate life really was a great influence? And what things do you want to make sure that you leave corporate creative life behind? What parts of those?
Oh, corporate creative life, I just feel like I learned so much there about leadership, about team, about what it truly takes to build a brand and shift a brand and build teams. So I feel like I learned so much in the corporate world from having the opportunity to work with some of the best typographers and illustrators and photographers to just working with some people in marketing that were so brilliant and smart, and you just learn, from how they analyze situations to how they present themselves to how they encourage others. I had an amazing creative mentor, Jeffrey Fields, who was the vice president at Starbucks that I reported into, and I learned so much from him because he was always about appreciating the work, appreciating the team, but then also believing in them and
Mm.
believing in what they were capable of doing, and having someone believe in you like that and then passing that down to your team. I mean, everybody does better when they have someone that believes in them. So
It's when magic
I
happens.
yeah, it really does. It really does.
So you touched on this a little bit, but what feels scary about starting something new at this stage of your career?
Oh my gosh. Um Having it fail is scary. Um, Having people, um, maybe not see the humor in it that you see in it.
Mm.
And for me, again, with taking kind of a stance on what the language is gonna be of this brand, that was a scary decision to make. I have some friends, and I was out having drinks, and he was pushing me because he knew I was starting something. He's like, "Dina, come on, please, just tell me, what is this brand? What are you doing?" And, he has a very senior role at a Seattle-based company, and so I showed him everything. I'm like, "This is a branding, this is a storytelling, this is the inspiration, this is what I aim to do," and he said, "I love everything about your brand." He's like, "I wanna be a part of your brand, I wanna join your brand." He's like, "But do you have to use the F word?" I don't like the F word. And I told him, I said, "I do, just because when it comes to what the brand is about and what I want the fine point of the brand, if I take that out, then I'm not being authentic to myself and I'm not being authentic to the brand." And
Yeah.
I know that's gonna cause me to lose some people, so I just have to be okay with that.
Yeah. So let's circle back if I could to that. So what do you want the company to stand for, not just sell?
I want the company to stand for, being able to have shared expression and storytelling out there. So I want the brand to be a community of people that appreciate the humor and the stories. And, life is throwing us things every day, from who we are as people, where we are as people, to what's happening in the world. So I want the brand to stand for a place of some levity around those stories.
I love it. There's a new series out. I think it's on, I don't know if it's on HBO or Hulu, but it's, geez, Michelle Williams.
Yes.
And, I won't blow um, the whole, storyline here, but basically she finds out that she has a terminal disease
Mhm.
and there are parts of her life that she's never experienced. And when I first saw the title, I was like, I'm not going to watch this. That just doesn't seem. And it's like, we tried an episode and it's this beautiful, humorous, sad, but real look at, in this case, cancer.
Yeah.
And as you're talking, I could see these actors wearing, um, for lots of reasons. One, it's
Yeah.
for the humor of it, but it's also the non-humor about it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
Exactly.
being able to, share that story and educate others. So I find that really, really precious and special.
That's amazing. Yes, I have a F cancer scarf. I lost my mom to cancer when she was 52, so she
I'm
was
sorry.
Thank you. Very young, very vital, very funny, very full of life, and, I think you don't understand how young that is until you're older, and, so I did design that for her
Mm,
because we both would have worn it because even within cancer for her, she tried to find the humor in it, and it's not
mm,
funny, and it wasn't always funny, and she wasn't always trying to find the humor in it, but when she could, she did, and I love that I can put something out there that hopefully resonates with others as well. In fact, this morning just got a photo from a photographer that I work with a lot, and he sent me a picture of one of his stylists that he had got the scarf for, and she was wearing it, and
mm.
he sent me a picture of her and just said, "3-time cancer survivor wearing her fuck cancer scarf
Oh,
with the heart." And it was
mm,
just this beautiful, joyous picture of this woman that, is beating it, and I love that.
mm. Yeah, it's interesting and it feels I mean, that's partly why, we're talking about what I was working and making earlier, is it just feels and it could be the stage of the stage of our career that we're both
Yes.
in,
Yeah.
but I see the power and impact of what we do even more so. I don't tell me how this feels when I say this. I've almost fallen in love with it at a whole new level.
Yeah.
How do you
Yeah.
feel about that when you're creating these stories?
Same, it feels very powerful to put a story out there that you find funny or interesting or insightful, so I think there is a lot of power in words, and, there's a lot of power in stories that are relatable and human. One of my other favorite scarves is I'll say it 3 times, I guess, is a "fuck old age" scarf that has all of the sentiments of aging and, which is very real, and, from, um, you know, bad hips, bad knees, colonoscopies, wrinkles,
Yeah,
all of those
all the big
things,
ones?
all the big ones, all of them. And then I try to hide Easter eggs in them as well. So on the old age one, I have "fuck repeating yourself" 3 times. I have it here, I have it here, and I have it here, tucked in different typefaces because I thought that was funny. So I guess when you ask me what I was afraid of, I'm afraid someone else isn't gonna find it funny because I find it funny.
Well, I think, there's science behind the power of just laughter and
Yes.
deciding to see, the funny about it as much as you can
Yes.
and just how much it helps us manage those things. So when you're building brands, so you have this idea, you're building it. How hard was it to figure out like manufacturers, textiles, all that sort of thing? Did you do a bunch of tests? How did that process go?
Yes, it was, back to not having a team. So I'm used to, like, doing what everyone used to call anyone that's worked with me will know this, uh term, Dina's shitty sketches. So that is me ideating and sketching and then going to my brilliant team who are all better designers, better illustrators, better creatives to me and saying, "Help me bring this to life." So um, it was it was really interesting having to figure it all out and not having worked in this industry before. So I did a ton of research. I connected with people. I looked at manufacturers all over the world. I got samples, and then I ended up going with 2 vendors that I hoped that they could get it right. And I remember I got home. I was out of town, and I got home, and I had 4 boxes on my doorstep, and I was like, "It's my product." So I pulled it inside, and then I called my son, who is really busy at work, but it was lunchtime when I called him, and we FaceTimed, and I had an unboxing of my first product, and I was like a kid on Christmas Day. I was, like, literally jumping up and down saying, "Look at this one, look at this one. What do you think of this?" So, really fun.
That's great. Was that first batch pretty decent, pretty close?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a relief.
Yeah, I was really surprised because, you send things off and you're not exactly sure where you're gonna get back.
Well, going and looking at your experience so far, right? if you were to go back and tell yourself a couple years ago or even longer than that, would you have encouraged you to do this sooner?
Mm. I'm kind of a believer that everything has its time, and I think that, there are certain things in life that lead you a certain way, and you often don't know where you're going to end up. So I would say the answer is yes and no, because I feel like all of the experiences that I've had have been really, I've learned. And I think that's, in life when you're learning and you're exploring and you're curious, that's what kind of feeds your soul. So I don't know if I think I should have done it earlier. In some ways, yes, because I would be further along and I'd have more information. And now I have to kind of wait and see what happens. I'm
Yeah,
dreaming, but we'll see what happens.
yeah. I asked that question primarily because there's moments in the past where I thought, oh, geez, I wish I would have started this earlier. And more times than not, I discover that it was just the right time. I wouldn't have been
Yeah,
able to have the wisdom, knowledge, energy, or whatever,
yeah.
to create that. Um, and that kind of feels true here too. Is you had this experience and now this passion and acumen developed to be able to create something like this. I think that's super super exciting.
Thank you.
So let's talk about what's next. What are your hopes? Again, I know you said you have some products already bubbling there. So at mid year, end of year, what do you hope? What does success look like for you in starting this new brand?
I would say success looks like getting my brand out there, getting people interested in my brand, getting people engaging with my brand is what success looks like. I'm at this point in my life where it's just like, it's not like the younger Dina that was like working hard. I gotta, pay for college. I need to like, save for this, save for that. So this really is a project of passion and a project of creative expression. So I hope other people find it humorous. I hope other people want to engage with the brand. I would love it to have some success. And if it doesn't, I'll probably cry for a week and then go to Italy. Italy
Uh,
makes everything better.
it really does. We've been talking about that actually for a year. Do you watch Emily in Paris?
Yes.
Yeah.
But I haven't watched, I think this season's in Italy, right?
Some of it is. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I
Yeah.
haven't started
Yeah.
watching
It's
it yet.
lovely. So let's talk about, have you thought about, the marketing side of it when it comes to like that story you shared about the images? I would think that would be incredibly powerful to share that. Is that part of the plan? Or are you still working on that?
I'm still working on the plan, actually. I have that story woven through my website. Um, but as a creative, this is one of my strengths and downfalls. I'm head down getting the creative done, and then I try to figure the rest out later. And I didn't used to have to figure the rest out later because there were teams of people that
Right.
did that, right? So now it's me. So I haven't honestly put together a solid marketing plan.
Well, here, this is just a free idea, right?
Yes.
How about fuck making the logo bigger? You can go ahead and send me that one and I'll wear
I love that.
it.
That's another good thing about the brand is I always hear things like that from people. "What about this?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's great. Well, Dina, I'm so excited for you. Thank you for making time on this. And I think I asked you this last time and I can't remember, but seeing that you are, almost like a Starbucks OG, what do you order now when you go through the drive-through?
Ooh, my gosh. I love a short coconut milk latte." I don't know if I said that last time, but that's what I'm liking right now.
That's great.
Yeah.
I don't actually I think it was a question I wanted to ask you and I
Oh,
forgot
okay.
to ask you. Yeah.
But I still am 100% a Starbucks fan. I go in there weekly.
I love it.
Yes.
Well, thank you again for being on
You're
the show. I can't wait to share this story and promote the heck out of it.
amazing. Thank you so much for having me back and being your first re-record. I appreciate that. I think this is a better story than my first one.